All right. So today we're going to be going over the patch notes. Going to be patch 11.16. As you can see here, it's going to have Diana nerfs, Fiora nerfs, Lisa nerfs, Lulu nerfs, Tom Kench nerfs, Jin Zhao nerfs, Ziggs nerfs, and then Jarvan buffs, Jin buffs, Maokai buffs, Nunu buffs, Shaco buffs, Sivir and Vladimir, Karma and Sona got adjusted, and Dark Seal and Redemption got adjusted too. So, any thoughts about the champions that were just listed there? As a bot lane player, I'm sure some of those are a heaven sent, and then some of those are going to be, a whatever.
True. Yeah, I just looked through. I didn't even look at the. Where's the gen change?
Uh,
I'm
Gen
blind.
change. It's
I saw
gonna.
it.
I think.
But
Where is it? Actually,
there it is. There it is. There it is.
it's in alphabetical order, right?
Yeah.
I guess I thought.
So for those who don't know, I am a Gen 1 trick, almost 500,000 mastery on the champ. So W damage increase, R damage ratio increase. Yeah, it's just a general uh damage buff. I mean, Jin, in my opinion, has always been one of the most balanced bot lane champs in the game since release. So this is more just like a quality of life buff, I would say, just to give him a little bit of strength because bot lane's just in a really sad place right now with the champs that are played. So this will hopefully give him. I mean, 5% AD on the ult is nice.
We'll go more into it here in a second. Let's just start at the top, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so Diana, honestly, I think that's a much deserved nerf.
beautiful.
Like,
Get that. I fucking absolutely despise that
I
champ.
know I've
Get it out
seen,
of here.
well, just like, I don't think the champ's necessarily like a great mid laner or anything like that right now. Like, she can do stuff, but she does need like a huge lead to get ahead. I think
Yeah.
it's really nice because as it is, I feel junglers are kind of in a pretty strong state for the past few seasons, and I think she kind of went over the edge. I know I've seen a
Yes.
few games where I've seen a level 7 Diana before, example, mid lane hits level 6, like,
Yeah,
and that
it's
just
her like Riot never I don't think intended her to be a jungler from the beginning, but obviously as the game shifts, people can
yeah.
figure out that due to her passive with her autos, like her clear is insane. She can
Well,
just farm like mad and just power farm and
yeah,
then she ganks like a champ with that change to her ult a couple
yeah.
patches ago. So
Well, they
or
changed her. They
season ago.
changed her something on 11.8 too, because they wanted her to, how Riot wants more and more jungle diversity, so they
Yeah.
decided to change. I think I think they decided to change her passive. I can't quite remember, but they changed something to make her more viable in the jungle, and it just spiked her up way too much.
Yeah,
Like
it's just
honestly,
like she's fine as a jungler. Like I don't
yeah,
mind it. She can do the role. It's just like I think the change they made was good because the biggest issue was that she could clear like mad and just power farm.
yeah, like she could
And
hit level 7 before mid lane
yeah,
hit level 6. Like
it's not very fun to just get ganked by an over leveled Diana who can just one tap you.
yeah,
And
that's
her
for
gank
sure.
assist is insane with her W.
Like
So
honestly, it was faster than Morgana jungle whenever that was a thing 4 or 5 patches
yeah,
ago. Like
yeah.
so,
And that was unenjoyable but good. Good. Nerf that bitch. Same with Fiora. I don't play a lot of top, and you don't either. But
I've dabbled a little bit in top this season ever since Gwen came out.
oh yeah, true, true. The Gwen man.
It just looks like they nerfed her late game, which I think is a good
Yeah,
state for everyone because there was no one at all, no matter what state Fiora like
yeah.
was
She's
in.
pretty unplayable against past like 35 minutes.
And I'm 35. Like second she gets to like 22 minutes in, once she hits level 13, she kind of just there's no one
Uh,
who can take her.
two,
She can
two and a
just
half items. She's pretty insane.
yeah, like she could just turn a fight
Yeah,
so or like a 1v2 or even a 1v3 really quick with the ulti into the or
yeah, yeah,
ulti
yeah.
procs just instantly kill someone and then just get onto the second damage dealer like cuz typically if you're going to go for a gank it's going to be, either top lane's going to shadow mid, mid's going to shadow top, and then you're going to have the jungler there to help.
Yep.
So like it's just gonna
Yeah.
get
It's
straight
a
up.
it's a decent change. It'll I don't know. I don't think it's really gonna do that much. I still think Fiora is probably gonna be oppressive towards the
Yeah,
later games, just the
she's
way
still
it's
gonna be
designed. But
oppressive. It's just from what I'm reading, this is 2 seconds in a late game fight on someone as squishy as Fura is kind of huge. Like,
yeah, it's gonna hurt her for sure. But it shouldn't be enough to where Fiora mains will cry all day. I feel like their champ is unplayable. But it's just
you'd be
good.
surprised. Fura mains will cry about everything. Let's be
I
real
mean,
there. But yeah,
true.
it's
But it's just to make Riot's goal is to where everything's supposed to have counterplay.
yeah,
So this is just helping
the
Fiora have a little more
counterplay.
counterplay to her kit, so it doesn't
Or
just feel
yeah,
doomed.
so when you're going against Fura, you don't feel
Yeah.
doomed. You can at least 1v2, 1v3, and she's not taking a tower in a half a second if
Yes. Yep.
you go and do a fight.
Yep. True.
Next up, Jarvan. I do think
Good
Jarvan.
changes. I like them.
I think Jarvan, is annoying to play against, but I also did think that he was in a pretty bad state.
Yeah, he
Once
was.
you got to like once the game got to where people are hitting about level 11, it did feel like he had a huge fall off. So
Yeah.
I feel
I
like with
mean, we saw that. I saw Jarvan earlier when our friend Trevor was playing it, and full lethality, just fucking one shot
yeah, so
somebody. So the damage buffs are definitely working. That is for sure.
they're definitely working how they wanted to. I feel like it should add more diversity now to doing
I
just
mean,
more than lethality
30
Jarvan.
30% more raw ID on the ult is a lot. That is
Yeah,
a fat nuke.
I'm trying to think. I
Um,
mean, let's see,
and
average AD
4% target
for
health. That's a lot.
yeah, the extra 2%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's good because people are gonna be less likely to build like tank J4. It's gonna be more either full
I
damage or
feel like it
like a
makes it
bruiser hybrid.
I feel like it makes it to where
So
you could do more bruiser because before
yeah,
you had to go full lethality. That way you could get the one person nuke. Now you already have the one person you already had the one person nuke. Now you can just still do the one person nuke if someone gets caught out, and then you're in a better position to do a team
yeah,
fight after that, comparatively to being absolutely useless. So I do think it was a well needed buff.
true.
But it's not
You
something
can
that will
and you
actually.
can J4 is never he can be strong, but J4 is never one of those champs where I feel like it's just insanely oppressive. There are ways you can play around J4's kick,
Yeah,
especially in champ select. There are things champs you can pick to just nullify his ult. And since they're promoting damage, he still should be squishy. So if he can't survive his all in and you just kite him or CC and blow him up.
yeah,
Um,
it's definitely gonna get a flash if it's available, but I don't think it's gonna
yeah,
do too
but
much
it's
more
good.
than that in
He's
terms
needed and
of
needed a buff. He's been
gameplay.
kind of just gone for a while. So
Yeah.
and then
Back to your
and
boy
then Jin.
Jin.
Yeah. Mainly just yeah, because bot lane's in a rough place. They addressed it later on in this patch. We'll talk about the Ziggs changes, but
Yeah.
um Jin is okay. He's always been okay. He's never like super bad in most patches.
Yeah, he's always
With
viable because I feel like he's very safe in
yeah, he's
terms of
safe,
like.
brings a lot of utility, more like a utility AD. Gale Force, ever since they introduced it, has given you extra mobility. But since we're playing in like assassin meta with mid, um, he's still pretty immobile and gets picked on heavily. But this is just mainly just a almost like a quality of life buff, just give you a
Yeah,
little bit extra more damage. Um,
that's what I'm seeing here is just a quality of life buff. I think
yeah,
it's a
just
little
make him
bit.
feel better to play, pretty much.
I just feel like it also just helps a lot in terms of like if you want to pick an ADC, you can. Like right now, what can you really pick ADC wise? Zaya and Samira and then Kaisa.
Yeah,
Like those are the
ball
three.
lane is a lot of like Zig's slowly falling down after the change. He's still really
Yeah.
strong,
He's still
but
really
it's
strong, but it does help. I think the
yeah,
biggest problem last patch was you had five ADCs that weren't just AD, like they're all APCs that were just played as
yeah.
ADC. Like it was like
It's like Ash,
Zeke,
Ezreal,
Swain.
Vayne, Cog, Aphelios. Like,
Yeah.
there's some more diversity coming in, but a lot of it's just like kind of more utility, longer range with like Ziggs, Ezreal, Ash. And
Yeah,
then the counter to that is you either pick you like the utility longer range or it's just full send, Samira,
yeah,
Vayne, like Kai'Sa stuff.
yeah,
So the gym buffs will help more of the utility supports like him, Sivir, um,
yeah.
who else? Like Varus. But
I think it does make him a lot more viable in certain situations. Maybe not against, I don't know, a Swain, but like it's for me as a cast player, I absolutely hate this because Jin is one of the worst champion or worst ADCs for cast to try to kill. He can auto attack while he or cast his ulti and still walk away due to the movement speed, so without getting hit.
yeah, he is
Um,
pretty fast. And onto the karma change. Seems like uh pretty
wow,
big
that's a huge nerf, right?
huge nerfs across the board.
Cooldown reduction from abilities is 5 seconds, no matter what. No longer reduces mantra cooldown by one at one. I'm trying to make out what this is exactly saying.
Seems like they're targeting her early game oppressiveness.
Are
Uh
they? Like, because it says cooldown reduction from ability, so they're getting rid of the fact that she can auto attack to get her ulti back. It looks like they're making it more like high skill. Like you have to hit your abilities in order to get your stuff back.
yeah, it looks like they're just making it, at least to me, they're making it harder and your abilities cost more, so you can't just be an absolute oppressive spam bot.
Yeah.
And with getting rid of the auto attack thing, it's gonna make it a lot harder to get mantra Q back because everybody knows the most annoying thing in the game is dealing with a karma mantra queuing you every 8 to 10 seconds at level one. It's really annoying. Um, but that's pretty big nerfs.
Okay,
I don't.
so yeah, so it's high. It's a lot more high risk reward. I had to reread it because that sounded a little weird to me. So that's actually like huge though. If she can hit her Qs,
Yeah, it'll reward you for being a decent karma player.
yeah, but
Um,
you don't get to just spam
but in
60,000
my,
times.
I don't know. She still could be viable because karma has a very
She's
nice kit.
definitely. So I'm looking at it like I'm thinking about it realistically. She'll definitely be viable because it's not like they're nerfing anything like. So like the reason why this is happening is she felt lackluster in solo queue, but she felt oppressive in pro play. So it makes completely sense on the buff because pros are going to dodge a lot more queues than solo queue. But like so I see where they're getting for the balancing on it. Overall, I do think it for a karma player, you're not gonna hate it too much. Like
Yeah, it'll probably take some time to get used to.
it'll
People
definitely
adjust.
that is a huge like change though.
Yeah, it's a pretty big change, but
Yeah,
we'll see. Her win rate's sitting at 47% right now. It hasn't really changed
it's
because
only the
this
first
was,
day though, or second
yeah.
day.
Well, Ziggs has already tanked
Yeah.
uh, a couple
I
percentages since.
don't. Do we know where she was before?
Uh, so
Because it
according to
might have gone up
OPSGG, when I'm looking, she's kind of been moving sideways in win rate.
sideways.
Um, yeah, like uh, she was, she had it's like a 47% last patch, 48% the patch before that. So she's been
Okay,
sitting at
so
47% for the last 5 patches. So she's still
okay,
there. So
so yeah, it's still around that 1% margin.
yeah. So
So that's not bad at all.
we'll have to see how it plays out, but it's more targeted at pro play. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
They definitely nerfed her early game, that's for sure. Looking at
Yeah.
the queue. Uh,
Yeah. I think that's the goal is because Karma's just so oppressive early because she can just throw shit at you
yeah, they made
24/7.
it less spammable, but they made it to where you can use more of it, so you're not worrying about. And then the shield, that got a that got an overall early game buff, but an overall nerf. Like
Yeah, the movement speed nerf is pretty big. Doesn't scale anymore. It's just
it's
capped at 40.
it's capped at 40, and then the defiance buff to nearby allies. That's a huge nerf. Like going from 100% bonus movement speed to 30.
Yeah. So they're just, yeah.
much needed Lee Sin
So
nerf though.
yeah, the decent. Oh yeah, for sure.
His healing has been
He
way too much since Omnivamp, and
Yeah, no, I agree. Lee can feel it feels dumb sometimes fighting a Lee with that the W healing.
yeah, like
So it's just a solid nerf. Lee's still gonna be strong, always
yeah,
strong. Very popular champ.
he'll
You
always be
know,
strong. I definitely think it was well needed for a nerf. And I do really enjoy the fact that they're not nerfing any of his damage and they're not nerfing any of his CDs because I feel like that'd be way too outrageous in terms of like
yeah, Lee's a skill based champ.
yeah
He always has been. If you're trash at Lee Sin, it will show.
yeah
So even if they give the champ like there's no point in taking away his damage. The person like has to be able to execute for Lee to be relevant.
yeah exactly
It's just
but
the W was just oppressive because you literally just press it and you get all your health back, and that's
yeah
just stupid.
Yep, exactly. And it's just so I think that's a really good lead nerf. I know one thing that Riot said over and over again though is that they don't like touching Lee Sin because
Yeah,
they're gonna no matter what they're gonna do it in one way or the other to where he's gonna be either completely useless or he's gonna be completely broken. So I think they
yeah,
did a good job on that one.
true.
Um,
Lulu
Lulu,
much
thank God.
needed. Yeah, she has been. Everybody knows who's been playing leagues from the bottom lane. Lulu has just been oppressive. She is so
even
annoying.
even
She
not in the
counters
bot
hard
lane.
engage. She's like the perfect support to counter the mid lane assassin meta. Like
Yeah.
shuts you down, shuts down engage supports bot lane. Just because polymorph is just so broken.
Yeah, well, I think they did
Um,
a good job not actually touching polymorph though. Like I
yeah,
think
no,
it
no, I
is
know,
definitely
but
a necessary spell like for her, and they nerfed it to I don't know the exact CDs on it, but like
they upped the cooldown by a second. It looks like
on
across the
Whimsy,
board.
right?
Yeah, it's
Whimsy's the
poly.
speed is Whimsy poly and speed. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Unless
yeah,
they have separate cooldowns, but I think it's the same. Just depends on who
no,
you
no,
press on.
they have the same cooldown, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's a indirect nerf to poly because Whimsy's good the attack speed buff, but
yeah,
um I think that's mainly targeted towards poly because that it can just be
yeah,
insane
definitely.
sometimes.
Well, I think I mean I could see it as both because depending on the situation,
It probably is a little bit of both,
if
but
it's one person or if you're getting in a 2v2 and the one person has all the damage you poly, you're getting it, if the jungler's coming in, you just speed up your ADC and just waddle away.
I mean, not to
Uh,
mention her cooldowns get so low through support items. Lulu can
yeah.
poly, and then if the fight goes on long enough, can just whimsy a teammate
As far as the
afterwards.
ulti goes, I don't think 10 seconds really matters. I'll be completely honest with
Yeah, no, I
you.
don't think it's gonna really matter that much either.
Like typically, you're gonna wait for a fight before you
Yeah,
obviously, it's probably gonna matter in like Challenger Masters, but as far as like Diamond and below, I don't think it really matters. Like, I don't know anyone who tracks ultis that hard, and typically it's hard to force a fight when someone doesn't have an ulti unless the jungler's coming. And let's face it, even in plat, the jungler's not coordinated enough to be like, oh, Lulu's ulti's still down for 5 more seconds
yeah.
comparatively. Like,
It'll have some changes at the top, but for most people, it won't really filter down. And then when it comes
yeah,
to the Maokai change, I think this is. I like where Riot's trying to go. Like, it's so sad watching a champ for ever since he was introduced into League being like a perennial powerhouse in the top lane. Like, he was such a go-to like safe tank, especially during tank meta. Maokai top's been
yeah,
great, but he's just been relegated to support just because like he gets outclassed by every other tank top anyways,
yeah,
and he can't sustain. That's what they're trying to address this with the healing to help him sustain, but he can't fight the likes of a Fiora
yeah. He's
or
not gonna,
like
or even
a
a Sion.
Camille.
He can't beat a Sion 1v1. It's
No,
just not possible. Like,
no. And so that
Shen.
he's just been a glorified support because the sapling damage is freaking insane. So I'm
Yeah, the
glad this being
sapling.
nerfed.
I'm glad they're nerfing the sapling. I'm glad they're actually making it to where he's gonna be more tank instead of
Yeah, they
bruiser,
need to get
AP
him back in the
bruiser.
top lane.
Yeah.
He's in such a bad state. Like if he's not played support, then he just never like he's just not picked. He's just
Honestly,
kind of just dead in the water.
I think I would have really enjoyed his buff on his knockback too for like a percent max HP. Just because like to
Yeah.
me it didn't make sense that like he did his E because all his E ever feels like it's doing is stopping a jungler from ganking, or like signifying that the jungler's ganking you, and to poke like if someone walks into a bush, which
Yeah,
doesn't make sense in like top lane to me. Like
true.
so
They could just also extend the range on the ability, make the knock up or the knockback last a little longer because it's like it's so it feels so his kit honestly just feels kind of outdated still. Like I know they
yeah.
updated his EE, but like Scion since the rework, his Q, like he literally just charged that and stun you for like 2 seconds. And
Yeah,
Maokai can just knock you up
I feel that.
for
Like
like what? Well, how long is his knockback? Like what? 0.2 of a second or something? It's
it lasts. I think it's a point 0.8, but 0.75
yeah,
maybe. It does.
yeah.
It
It just
like
it
it's a
just
good
feels
knockback. It's just not like based off everything else in his kit. It just does not feel
yeah.
good.
It's not competitive with the kits in top lane. Like Ornn
Yeah,
can do that better. Scion can do that better. Malphite.
exactly. And they'd have more utility to them too in
Yeah,
terms of like, yeah, Maokai has this really nice ult, but since League is a movement based game these days, it doesn't feel as good, you know? Like
yeah,
how easy is it to actually get away from a Malphite ult? And I feel like
yeah.
it's
You
nice
got
to,
options to dodge Maokai. So
or yeah, Maokai ult. I mean, I do think it's nice though overall because it also doesn't make Maokai too strong for competitive play. Like I know for a fact if they made like any other changes and you get it or like if we had started having top lane Maokai's again, all they would do is just flank on a fight and then just ult from behind, so they're forced to do the engage or get stuck in the ulti and
yeah.
die either way. Like
Yeah,
so,
we'll have to see. It shouldn't make him too strong, but I know there
yeah,
have been some points where when Maokai has become oppressively
viable
strong because he just never dies. He just heals
exactly.
so much, but we'll see. Right now, he
Um,
definitely needs that buff. When it comes to Nunu, what they
new
did,
new.
remember his base movement speed increased.
I
What
can
is
agree with
Nunu
that.
buffs? Yeah,
Uh,
he feels pretty weak right now. I
he
really don't
feels
see him
weak. I
played.
really wish they lowered the damage because my main problem isn't like I feel like jungle Nunu is really weak, but mid lane Nunu for like gold below is really strong in reality of things because the snowball will do half your health and destroy a whole minion wave at level
Oh,
1.
the roaming Nunu strat where they just like
Yeah,
go
where they
farm the
take.
wave and then just snowball bot or top.
Yeah, but until like level
Yeah.
3, like no matter what, Nunu just feels really oppressive to play against in mid lane. So
I
I wish
mean,
they addressed that a little bit better, but overall I do think this does help.
that's a huge damage buff.
Yeah,
Is
it
he like
definitely.
54 to 90%?
Yeah,
That's gonna hurt.
I.
So
Yeah, like, but it's just
that's gonna hurt.
it's just his AP ratio.
Yeah,
So
but it's still gonna make
honestly, I
that
feel like
bang hurt.
I feel like that encourages mid Nunu even more.
The mid disco Nunu players go full
Yeah,
AP and just roam the whole time.
exactly,
Yeah.
and I feel like that just encourages it way too much. So this is probably gonna. I honestly think the E is gonna get scaled back. And they're gonna change it into a flat because it just doesn't make sense. I know what they're going for, but like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's I don't know why you yeah, it doesn't really make sense to buff the damage. Like it like Nunu is supposed to be a like a utility tank.
Yeah, that's why. Well,
So
that's why they did
why
it. Because they weren't thinking about mid lane Nunu. You got to remember, right? Typically
No, I
targets.
know, but even then, like I still wouldn't make it like 90, like 54 to 90, and then 4%. Like that's quite a
Yeah.
bit. I would just have moved it a little bit more, not that
Well,
much.
they're thinking, that he goes tank. So how much AP is he really gonna be building?
Yeah,
But we're gonna get like season 3 Nunu off this, where people are gonna be
yeah.
running in every lane and just
Well, we'll have to see.
E
It
for
depends
people's
on
viability.
if the trolls pick up on it
Yeah.
and run away with it. If it becomes a problem, they'll definitely have to dial it back.
Yeah.
Shaco is just pretty much nothing, just bug fixes,
Poof goes Weasel, Shaco's orange no longer appears to move
VFX
when they avoid
fixes.
cast. Oh, that's actually a huge buff for him though.
Yeah,
That's huge. Like,
but yeah. The smoke doesn't appear when he casts. So that's
yeah,
pretty. Yeah, that's pretty big.
yeah, that's a
You
huge
have to
huge
be
buff.
looking, but if you are looking, that is pretty big because now you won't see him in the fog war coming.
Yeah,
But
like
besides that, it's mainly just fixes.
when Shaco's clone kills a ward, it will no longer override all commands attempt to repeatedly pass back to Shaco. That's really nice. I didn't know that, to be fair. Um,
I've never touched Seiko, so I have no idea.
well, I typically learn random stuff like that, but
When killed by reflect damage, Shaco's clone now properly explodes into mini boxes. Interesting.
I wonder how it exploded before. I mean, reflect damage isn't that often. Like, how often do you think someone dies to a bramble vest?
Yeah, that's the only reflect damage, right? Are there any champs that have
Ramus, but
reflect? Oh yeah, yeah, Ramus.
yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah, it's just Bramble Vest and Ramus. There's no other
Yeah,
reflect damage in the game. It's mainly just burn damage,
yeah,
which that's why like Ramus builds burn damage, so there's a better chance that Sunfire is
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take it. Like,
for sure. And then
um,
the Sivir buff is just playing into what we were talking about earlier, trying
yeah,
to like lift bot lane into a better state and to
yeah,
bring utility ADs back. So it's kind of in the same vein of Jin. They're just
yeah. It also does look like they're trying to move away from Lethality Sivir.
yeah,
So I
I would
really
agree.
enjoy that. I don't
Same.
like lethality Varus. Like lethality Varus I think's in a good state, but I don't like lethality Sivir or any other like lethality ADCs just because their fall off is just so huge. And I feel like it takes, they get online at what, level 8 and they fall off at like level 10.
Yeah. So Sivir, I feel like is kind of standalone because I feel like at least if you take Dark Harvest, it helps her continue to shred. But
Yeah,
the lethality is only ever viable if you pick these into squishy teams. The enemy team
exactly.
has tanks; they're just irrelevant. And then the
Yeah,
whole point of Sivir being because generally Sivir is would be considered a scaling utility AD because she brings utility, and if you do your conventional crit build, she gets pretty strong once you get
yeah.
4 or 5 items, and
That
her
is for
W's are
sure.
critting like mad.
That is for
But
sure. I do definitely enjoy the fact that they gave her a W buff and not a Q buff because it does encourage more
yeah,
build
and
paths on
her
her.
her W late game is gonna hurt 20% more AD
Yeah.
on the final max. It's gonna smack. So I like that change. It's good.
Anyways, moving on to Sona. Whenever I originally looked at this, I didn't think it was that great, but based off of like hearing from a lot of Soto players and stuff like that, they've really enjoyed this buff. So I think I've seen plenty of Soto players too, and it doesn't feel that strong either. Like, so I think they hit a definitely good direction in terms of trying to give her a little bit more originality on her kit. Like, because ever since Seraphine came out, she's just
Yeah,
kind of been upshined. I feel like it gives her a
yeah,
little bit more
weaker
of a,
Seraphine.
yeah, it just feels more like a viability kind of thing with the fact that her W is a lot more spammable, or all of her abilities are a lot more spammable.
Yeah,
So
I don't know too much about the Sona change, but I've seen she has gone up in win rate.
yeah,
I've
so
also seen people talk about uh that they like it, so I think it was a good change.
if we read it exactly up to does it have where? Okay, removed aura mana refund granted ally are no longer refunds 30 mana. So basically, now grants a stack of
Yeah, so it's
um
like all of your abilities have
Accelerando.
like a stacking effect now that
Yeah,
rewards you for using them. Just that's nice.
yeah. It's basically just like where a lot feels a lot more rewarding and once she reaches 60, basically they made it to where her abilities were more spammable late game due to the fact that they added that Accelerando. Because before,
Yeah.
if you played Sona, once you used one ability, all your abilities were on CD, pretty much. So until you got later into the game, because you have to play that specific chord for a little bit, so it gets rid of that, which is what makes it a lot more strong. Tom Kench, much, 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 much,
Yeah,
much,
very
much needed.
very impressive in the top lane. Been the number one top lane for a while now,
Yeah,
especially since last patch.
always viable in the
Um,
top lane. It's just
yep.
people didn't want to run it. I have a one of my friends, the Bean Hunter. He loves to run Tom Top, and I think this takes it into a really good direction.
Yeah, this is much needed. Like
Yeah,
the damage needed to be lowered, and the healing just needs to be. I
yeah,
wouldn't mind if they nerfed even harder because like Tom Kinch, like it says in the patch notes, like he can just tank. He feels like he never dies. Like if you
yeah,
play against a Tom Kinch as a head top lane, it just feels impossible to kill him.
yeah. That is for sure. You have to play like there's only like so Singe does a really good job against old Tom Kench. Cass did a really good job against old Tom Kench, and Gwen. So anything that did percent health was the only way to kill him, really. So,
Yeah.
but it also couldn't be something that was like necessarily easy for him to get on top of. So
Yep. So this is just much needed nerfs.
yeah.
Way too strong.
Um,
Well,
Vladimir. I'll be honest with you. Hate metas where Vladimir is viable.
yeah, yeah. Also, another oppressive champ. Kind of, I put him in the same realm of Diana when it comes to potential annoyingness
Yeah, like
because,
the only difference is Diana becomes annoying at level 6. Vladimir normally becomes annoying
and
at
Diana
level
can be
11.
CC'd, unlike this fuck. So
Exactly. Like I think it does give him the opportunity to get to late game a lot better. I do like the fact that they didn't do anything to his damage because it just makes him come online faster. If they did anything to his damage, it just makes him more survivable.
yeah,
Actually they did do a little bit to his damage, but
seems like they're
they're
trying
making
this
him a lot more tanky.
changes. Yeah, it's directed at top lads,
Yeah.
which is fine. Mid lane Vlad, I think, is in a pretty decent state.
Yeah.
Um, but if this is, I don't know how many people are playing top Vlad, but if it is a thing, this definitely should help.
I'm trying to think. It definitely locks him down to Riftmaker. Like he,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, like well, like if you think about it, Night Harvester not gonna be great on him in my opinion, because it's essentially just making it to where he's gonna do, or he needs to be tankier to do more damage. So you're gonna want more survivability. Like obviously it's gonna decrease the amount of damage, but it's gonna increase the survivability, and he should do more DPS in the long run. So you're
Yeah,
gonna want Riftmaker.
yeah. This definitely is something that won't impact the mid lane Vlad players because they're usually just going full
I mean,
AP most of the time.
it will impact it against control mages, I think. Like, that
Yeah,
way you're not gonna get one shot by Syndra. Um, basically, I
yeah. They can
know.
help. They built Proto Belt too, right? Is the first item.
They so it fluctuates. Right now Vlad hasn't had a good starting item, in most Vlad mains' opinions. They either like to do Night Harvester or Riftmaker though. So every once in a while you'll see a Proto Belt because theoretically it does more damage. But you have to, use the Proto Belt correctly, which never happens. They typically only use it to get the all in, which doesn't make sense because it's Vladimir and he can get all, or he can all in pretty easily.
Yeah,
So
but I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to be too
yeah,
oppressive. Top Vlad is not picked very often. He is picked. I played him. I remember many seasons ago. So
yeah,
he is viable top, and this should help make him more viable. But I don't think it's ever going to be a problem compared to his mid lane counterpart because
yeah.
the biggest reason why you take Vlad mid
Is
is
to one
he
shot.
is well, you one shot people, and it's very hard to get you because the amount of distance you have to cover in mid lane is short, so you can
Yeah,
pull back to your tower very safely. While you can still do that, top lane, because it's a long lane, you're always at more risk, so the Vlad has a higher chance of being ganked.
yeah,
So I don't think it's really going to be an issue because Vlad top doesn't have the same level of survivability as mid lane Vlad. So,
yeah. I mean, we'll see though. I think it will increase his overall win rate in both lanes, but I think it will help
well,
top a lot more.
since the patch I just checked, his pick rate's gone up 2% since it's been
Yeah.
live.
So that
So
means it probably lowered it for now, but if we wait a couple days, we'll see a better result. Um, Jin Zhao, just basic attack damage decrease, phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. No issues.
Like,
Jin Zhao has always been very oppressive early, very
yeah,
strong early.
he
So
still does his job where he's strong early, but he's not three-shotting you now with a WQ or W all in into an E into a Q, three hit, you're immediately dead. Like, so there's at least a little bit of counterplay because he's losing what 9 damage, and then like another like overall
yeah,
his all in's losing probably about 30 to 40 damage.
yeah,
Um,
not too much, but a little bit. And have the Ziggs
Ziggs.
change. So
I don't
I
agree
get,
with the mana buff.
yeah, they're trying to tune Ziggs to send him back mid, and I
Yes,
get what they're doing. They lowered the damage on his minefield.
that's
They
huge.
lowered it. It is, and they lowered the slow. But
Yes,
I can tell you, as somebody who, before recording this video, just came off of a massive Ziggs game bot lane, it still doesn't address the problem completely. Like,
I feel like it actually did the exact opposite because I'd much rather go against this Ziggs now in the mid lane than I would in the bot lane. Uh,
yeah,
as it
this
is, like I can just walk. Let's say I'm playing Cassandra or anyone else who has a bit of range. I can just walk over his minefield now, perfectly fine, and just kill him. Like
yeah, it definitely
mid lane's,
hurt his ability for solo survivability because in bot lane he has a support with him, so
yeah,
the slow isn't really like it doesn't matter. Like I in that game that I played earlier, I didn't like I couldn't really feel it. I mean, I definitely could feel that the minefield did not slow as much. It was a little bit
yeah,
harder to land bombs, but it still is incredibly oppressive bot lane. This might be enough, especially with the Sivir and Jim buffs. He might fall off and won't be played as much, but I could still see him being played. I mean, I literally just did it earlier. Granted, it's like gold platilo, so it's not the same, but
yeah.
um,
I think the big thing about it that I think that just completely went into the wrong direction. The base mana doesn't really help because his Q is really easy to dodge in the mid lane. There's not any walls for him to bounce it off of. You're not really fighting inside minion waves, so there's no way like 60 extra mana is really gonna help his Q. Like that's probably 5 Qs extra in a level or to a level 3 fight, so you're not gonna get much poke or anything like that. And with the slow, it just makes it really if like the nerf damage and the slow make it feel really easy just to chase him down at like a level 2, level 3 fight. Um, Itemizations, um, absolutely. So the Dark Seal nerf feels like all it did was nerf control mages, if I'm to be honest with you.
gotcha. Yeah,
Because,
I don't play mid that much, so you got
yeah. So
more than I do on this.
my reasoning behind why it feels like it hurt control mages is you're losing not only, every little bit of AP counts on like a Syndra,
Especially early game for
Seraph.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it just doesn't feel like it's worth build or spending the 350 on for the chance that you might, if you die once, you lose too much. It feels like it might be better just to go straight into a Lost Chapter into a Ludens. Like,
Yeah, for sure. It's what I would do most of the time.
yeah, like, I think the reason why they did it was nerf Kassadin, because I feel like it was a very viable option on Kassadin to get ahead once he got one kill. I think it also, I don't really think it hurt assassins that much. If an assassin decides to build a first item, they're still gonna build a first item. Uh, like realistically speaking, Akali's still gonna build a first item. Katarina's still gonna build longsword first, or not longsword, yeah, longsword first item. So
LeBlanc could build it if she wanted to, probably.
LeBlanc's typically like to do corrupting potion.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they do.
I need to stop
Right.
saying but they like to do corrupting potion due to the fact that they get to trade better. So
Yeah, no, yeah.
it only really affects Silas, Kazadin, uh, and Vladimir.
Yeah, Vlad, yeah.
So honestly, I think they just nerfed Vlad mid even more based off what we're saying. Which I honestly don't think Vlad's in a strong state mid lane. So all it does is push for flat top even more, make Kazan less viable, and make Silas less viable. The
Fine with that.
redemption,
That's a good change. I mean, as someone who's played a lot of bot lane, both AD and support, it's definitely not been an item that's been on my radar. There's way better stuff. Um, so I think the buff will help it a little bit. Um,
I
the
think
cooldown being
the
reduced is nice.
yeah, I think that's the hugest part because
Yeah.
you can do that
The
every
heal,
fight. No,
yeah. 90 seconds, that's pretty decent. And then if you throw down other cooldowns,
I think it's insane that they thought 120 seconds was okay. Like that's Zonya's time.
yeah. I it's because Redemption was very oppressive when it initially came out. Because it was spammed a lot.
Which I can agree with, but ever since they did the HP changes, I feel like it wasn't nearly as oppressive. Like, what's 400 HP when you lose 60% of it?
Yeah, no, I
It's
agree.
just
So it's a
160.
it's a nice little buff. It might make it more viable, but I still don't know if it's gonna be picked that often because the other support items kind of just still bring
I
a
still,
little more.
I feel like it's gonna be bought on the same people who bought it before, like
Yeah,
Soraka, Eevee,
exactly. Yeah,
stuff
it's
like that.
the people who build it now are going to continue to, but I don't know if it's really gonna make
Yeah,
a thresh player switch over to
yeah,
building it.
any champion that builds Revitalize is still gonna take it. It's gonna be more viable of an option to take it earlier on,
Yeah.
but I don't think a tank's gonna take it due to the fact that they still need the added tankiness and all that of I don't know anything else like
But yeah, I mean, you still take Knight's Vow over that or
yeah
Zeke's.
Zeke's literally anything like is gonna be
Yep.
more important than that.
Yep.
Vandal City Clash, oh boy, agreed. Um,
Yeah, true.
I
There you
do
go.
agree with dodge penalties. I do like the new friendship leaderboard. And I do like the masters and above flex can no longer queue with other people that are
Yeah, it's
literally
probably a
anyone.
good change. Probably a good
I
change.
can't tell you how many
What's the
times I've had a Masters flex player in my game. So, and that's pretty much wraps up the.
players that dodge 3 times in a 24-hour period will experience a 12-hour MOBA queue lockout?
Yep,
What does that mean?
they can't play essentially.
Then why are you saying MOBA queue? Why is it just saying they're just locked out of
I don't
play
know.
whatever?
Let's see if they have a.
You always suspect you're better than your friends. Now you can find out for sure. You added a new social leaderboard inside ranks, summoners, and rift lobbies. You can access the leaderboard by clicking on the leaderboard button. That's cool. That's
Okay,
always
so meanwhile these two dodges. See what this means.
12-hour MOBA queue lockout.
Yeah, I'm trying
So
to
that
figure
just
out
means
exactly what that
I
means.
think that just means that they can't play League. They can still play TFT and ARAM.
Probably is exactly what that means. Well, they can't do ARAM. I think it just means
Yeah,
they
they
can do
probably can't. Yeah,
TFT.
they just do TFT. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just can't play the MOBA version of League.
So I think that's really strong for the fact that people just dodge so much. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
Like,
the only issue way I could see this becoming a problem is if you use your you can use your 2 dodges that it allows you, and I don't have any issues with that
yeah.
if you want to. But what if somebody's internet goes out and they dodge?
Oh, due to
Like, is that
internet?
yeah? Or
I
like the
well,
client, or Riot's trash client
that's
breaks,
true.
and then they can't accept or they can't lock in a champ, and then they dodge. Like, there needs to be a built-in way for Riot for the client to detect that it's a bug causes someone to dodge, or at least be able to reach out to Riot support. Because if someone like
There's
T1, for
spaghetti
example, like
code.
T1 is going to use both of his dodges in a day. Like
Exactly.
high elo players are going to do that because it's more beneficial to dodge at that level if you get trolled in a
Yeah.
lobby. And the client is poop. And we all know it's going to break at some point in Champ Select, and someone's going to dodge, and what they're going to be banned for 12 hours.
Oh,
That's
definitely. You know how Riot
that's a
works.
little rough.
To be
That's a
fair,
little
Riot
rough.
does. Are you talking to are you talking bad about our Overlords Riot and saying they
No,
make
I would
mistakes?
never. I like the game. It's just the client,
No, 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 no. The client's perfect, dude. It's our
yeah, the client.
Overlords.
Listen,
There's no
yeah, even,
spaghetti in here.
yes, even Riot can admit that the client has got some problems.
Their whole game has problems, to be completely honest. But
True,
invisible
but yeah,
smoke balls and all that. But
I think that's about it.
yeah, that pretty
Pretty
much wraps up everything. So
pretty decent patch. Nothing
I don't think there's
like
anything too major. Maybe the
just the
Sona,
Sona and
Sona and
Karma are probably the two
Karma.
biggest ones. But besides that, just some quality of life
Oh,
fixes.
and the Diana. That's pretty big. But
Oh yeah, the slowing down the clear. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of quality of life fixes. Riot trying to affect the bot lane meta in subtle ways by trying to bring back more utility 80 carries, trying to
for
bring a little bit
sure.
more diversity, trying to kick Ziggs out, try to kick Vlad top. But
Real quick before we end this up though, did you look at what their preseason notes were?
I have not looked at the preseason notes
So
now.
preseason notes, they pretty much said that they're not gonna do anything too major, like they like the State of Dragon and stuff like that. I think they said they're gonna add a little bit more comeback style. But the big thing that I like is they're adding challenges, kind of like Eternals, except overall. So like it'll glorify. You basically got to glorify yourself in terms of like skill shots dodged, farming, damage, stuff like that. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I'm always down. The more data, the better. Like I'm down for leaderboards. I'm down. Like it can't hurt. It only helps experience to know more about you, your friends, how you're playing.
Exactly.
Um,
And it always
so,
does feel nice to show off to all your friends.
yeah,
So,
exactly. So and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't affect
by the
gameplay.
way,
So I'm down.
rank second on my flex,
Nice, big time.
unless it just updated
Um,
and dropped me. But nope, still
I'm
rank second.
also not shocked that Riot isn't doing any major changes. I mean,
I think they like the state of the game they're in. They're also gonna rework the inspiration mastery, but I think Riot likes the
yeah.
state that
So
they're
we'll
in.
have to see how long it lasts. Hopefully, I'm thinking it's more Riot trying to figure out what they want to do with the game in the upcoming years because like the biggest thing about League that's kept it going for 10, 11 years now is that they've continually updated the game and the games
Exactly.
move forward. So Riot is gonna have to figure out a way so it doesn't get stale because I've already seen some streamers and other League personalities get bored because they think the game's getting stale. So
Exactly.
I'm hoping Riot will come out with a big change in the next couple seasons to try to keep the game fresh, and they haven't just completely given up on League and are focusing on Valorant and other upcoming projects. But
Yeah. Anyways, I think
we'll
that's pretty
see.
much it. You want to handle the outro?
What's your outro?
I don't have one. I'm just gonna let you do the outro.
uh, well, thanks for listening to Salty Stark's patch notes. Um, you can follow him on YouTube and on Twitter if he has one.
No, there's no
Um,
Twitter yet. We're working on it.
make sure to subscribe. League videos coming out frequently. Get your League of Legends news. Very PogChamp.
Any shoutouts?
Uh, no.
You don't
Let's
wanna
go.
you don't wanna add a fuck the CVS manager or anything like that. He'll be watching this,
Uh,
you know.
nah. The only shout outs I have are shout out to my boy Jin. I see you out here getting that buff. Also, shout out to Riot for or like I guess like well they were the
Buff
opposite.
Lucian.
Like a diss to Riot, like shade at Riot for not buffing Lucian. He's fucking trash right now. Please make him better bot lane. I swear
That's
to
because
God.
competitive play.
I know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you add a fuck the ops for me?
Fuck the ops.
Fuck 12s. Fuck the ops.
Fuck 12. Fuck 12. Fuck op. Walgreens is better.
True.
Um, I'm gonna go play Smite.
All right. That's the video, deuces.